Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Hey, we're coming here with a great podcast. We certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for being here. Of course, we always have the most amazing authors. If you get a chance, go to the ChrisVossShow.com, go to YouTube.com/Chris Voss, go to all the different platforms we have and different groups we have on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all those different places where you can see all the brilliant authors we have on the show. You can go to our Goodreads at goodreads.com/Chris Voss to see what we're reading and reviewing over there as well. Today we have an amazing author. It just amazes me every time. We come on the show. I come on the show every day, sometimes twice a day, and they go, there's another amazing author on the show that's brilliant and written this beautiful piece of work, and you're going to get a chance to get front row to ask this person questions, find out the brilliance in their book, and learn so much and make your life and your mind expand. She is the author of the new book that's coming out July 1st. So you still have the ability to jump in, pre-order this baby so that you can be the first one on your blog to say you read it. You can be like, tell your book clubs, I read the book first. Leonard, Marianne, and Me, Magical Summers on Hydra by Judy Scott. Judy is joining us today, and she's going to tell us about this wonderful book and document that she's put down as to her life and some of the other people's lives that are in it. She was born and raised in New Jersey. Judy Scott now lives in Los Angeles with her spouse, Monica. Scott worked for many years at the highest level of the independent film production and distribution business while raising her daughter, Tori, who was conceived on Hydra. The project she was associated with garnered numerous awards, and in 2005, Scott helped launch the first ever LGBT cable TV network. As Senior Acquisitions and Business Affairs Executive, she returns to Hydra every chance she gets. Welcome to the show, Judy. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you very much.
Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce. You know, it sounds like you love Hydra like I love Catalina Island. Like I always go on vacation there. And it looks like a beautiful place from the cover of the book. Give us your plugs so people can find you on the interwebs.
Okay. Well, I don't have a website. I'm on Facebook a lot and can be located there. The book is in pre-order on Amazon. It's also on all the Amazon sites in Europe, Germany, France, Italy, Australia, New Zealand, of course, England. And it's also on Barnes & Noble, their website.com. It's also on Target.com and on Walmart.com. And I like to encourage people, even though it counts a lot for me if they order on Amazon, but I really support local bookstores. And I like to encourage people, if they do patronize a bookstore, they will order it for you. And local bookstores are really hurting. So I like to give them a plug as well.
There you guys go. Local bookstores, patronize them as well. You know, with the coronavirus, everyone's been hurting. So it's important we support our Main Street businesses. So give us a idea, Judy. What motivated you on to write this beautiful book?
Well, I kept journals when I lived on Hydra. I first went there in 1973. So yeah, I'm kind of older. And I went there to write specifically. And I, along with some other writing that I did, poetry and a couple of screenplays that didn't get produced, I also kept journals and diaries. And I was approached in 2016 by some other people. Hydra, first of all, when you live there, it's called Hydra, which is the pronunciation that had differentiates us from the tourists, because the tourists always say Hydra. But I was approached by some of the other expats. There are a lot of writers, a lot of painters, artists, very popular on Hydra because it has no cars or automated transportation. The air is very clear and very pure. In fact, the light is called Greek light, and it's real notorious in the artist community around the world because it is so pure and just realistic. Anyway, so I was approached by some of the other writers who were putting together a compendium of stories, of recollections, of memoirs, and they asked me if I would contribute. They knew that I had one. And before I decided whether I was going to do that, when I first met Leonard Cohen, and Leonard Cohen, who was probably best known for Hallelujah, but also for Bird on a Wire and Suzanne and several other folk songs that became very, very popular in the late 60s, early 70s. In any case, I met Leonard on Hydra. He owned a house there, and we became very friendly. And as I did with his first woman, who he described as his muse, Marianne, and he said, "You're absolutely welcome to join us whenever you like, but just do one thing. Promise me you won't write about me." And I said, okay, I will do that. And when I was approached by this author, Kevin Mcgrath, he teaches at Harvard, to contribute to what he was putting together, I thought, I've always stayed in touch with Leonard loosely. I've got to let him know that I might be doing this. And I sent him an email.
Mm-hmm.
I explained, what was proposed. And I said, you were so kind to me and you told me not to write about you. And for 35 years, I haven't done that. But I would seek your permission if you have time to just look at this. And I sent him the manuscript. It was about 100 pages at that point. And I was astonished and so edified. The next day, he wrote me back email and said, "Dear Judy, thank you so much for sharing this very fine piece of work for which I have no objections whatsoever."
Oh, wow.
So I have to say it was really so poignant to see some of our old friends, because I talked about other people on the island, and I really admire the honesty and detail of the work. So I thought I might have something here and something that I might want to do something with more than just a contribution, 30 or 40 pages. So I started working on it. I was fortunate enough to get an agent, a literary agent, like Gousset, and who also lives the summers on Hydra. And we went shopping. It probably went through, as all books do, 5 or 6 different editions, editorial comments, editorial changes. But we finally got it sold to Backbeat Books, and it will be out July 1st. Yeah, and Backbeat is a label of Rowman and Littlefield, which is the largest independent book distributor in the country.
Mm-hmm. And you got it out and told your story.
Yes, and so now it's actually, look, I have a copy of it, the other's edition. So yeah, it's gotten some very good attention. So I'm really, really happy with it.
That's exciting. Congratulations on the new book. Now, it's not a travel memoir per se, and it feels like there's characters in it. Can you tell us about the island? Give us a description of what it's like there.
Sure. I actually have described Hydra, the island, as a character in the book because there's a lot of information about it, history and the people, and the just incredible physical beauty of the place, and the fact that there's no cars. So it is actually a character in the book. I think that's why they put the picture on the cover. I had nothing to do with the cover, but it's a gorgeous cover.
Oh, yeah.
And I got there by sheer accident. I knew nothing about Leonard Cohen being there. I was a big fan of his already. But I was actually on my way with a group of travelers from youth hostels, we college kids, on my way to Istanbul. And when we got to Athens, some of the others that I was traveling with said, let's just try and find one more island, Greek island, to visit before we go on to Turkey. And I said, okay, let's try and find something close by because I don't want an overnight ferry ride again. And we went off to the Greek travel office and they gave us brochures and said, this is the one you really want. This is a beautiful island.
Wow. And
it's 3 hours by ferry boat. So off we went for 3 nights. We booked 3 nights at a little pension on the harbor. And I was very, very lucky to run into a taverna where there was this party of foreigners. I thought they were all foreigners. One of them was a Greek man who is actually the person I dedicated the book to.
Oh, wow.
A very, very good friend for life of mine. His name is George Liarios. He's passed on now. But he also was a very, very good friend of Leonard Cohen's. And he invited me to come and stay at his house. And I did. And the very day that I moved in, knock came at the door, and this lovely Norwegian woman came in to use the phone. George had the only phone on the island that was accessible to foreigners. And it turned out to be Marianne, who was Leonard's first really long-term, serious relationship. And he has described her many times as a muse. He has said she's given me many songs, and she did. So we chatted, and I told her I was on my way to Istanbul, and she said, no, you know what? This is a really special place, and you belong here. You should stay. And so I did. I told my friends, guess what? I'm not going to Istanbul. I almost titled the book, I Never Made It to Istanbul.
Well, I think this is brilliant. You know, the serendipity of life is really interesting, how things turn out, and how sometimes we put ourselves in places or stretch ourselves a little bit to go to places maybe we aren't comfortable. You know, like you had plans to go to Istanbul, and you're like, well, let's try one more place. You know, you could have been a stick in the mud and went, no, I have plans in Istanbul. We're going there. And you would have missed all the serendipity. And so,
can you imagine?
Yeah. I've had so many of those moments in my life where I'm like, wow, if I hadn't pushed that door open and let whatever came come to me, I would have never experienced some of the beautiful things. I mean, sometimes one little moment has been a life. You can map the split, the fork in the road of my life that goes completely to a different place between the movement of one person's influence. So when was the first time you visited the island? When was that? How old were you?
It was in May of 1973.
Wow. And you've been going there like ever since, pretty much.
Pretty much every 2 years or so. I was last there in 2019. Was going to go last year, but of course, no travel.
Yeah, that was really sad. So is it kind of a bit of an artist colony there?
Oh, very much so. Very much so. There's a very, very famous, world famous artist named Bryce Marden, who owns 3 houses there. New York Times listed him in the top 20 living masters.
Oh, wow.
And I knew him, and I knew his wife, Helen, quite well. There's a number of other pretty notable artists. I have a little bit of an art collection from Hydra artists.
Oh, wow.
Because of the light and just because of the environment. It's a very peaceful environment, but it's also a very stimulating environment. So it kind of covers all bases.
You know, that's one of the things I've always loved about Catalina Island. Now, there are cars on Catalina Island, but they're inherited cars. I mean, you can't, it's really hard to just bring a car there. But there's a feel that I get at the island where people walk, and it's very personal. Is that the same sort of case with this island where people, you know, people just maybe integrate better, or there's more of a human sort of aspect where, you know, people are really getting to know each other and interacting, instead of, you know, like LA, just driving in a car on a freeway all the time.
Right. No, I absolutely. I've been to Catalina twice, and there are there's a real resemblance to Hydra. It's very intimate. Hydra only has about 3,000 people, and about 300 of them are foreign. Many of them live there year round. A lot of them just come for the summer and fall months. But it's a really nice community. Everybody's friendly. Everybody's accessible. Unlike some of the bigger islands like Mykonos and Santorini, which are totally promoted by hotels and tourists, Hydra has very few hotels. It has a lot of day boats, what we would call day boats, tour boats that come in. They do like a 3-island chain, Hydra and Poros and Spiros, and then they leave. And so at night, it's really just the residents, very few permanent tourists or long-term tourists. And that makes it really a nice community.
Wow, that's awesome. So you get kind of accepted into Leonard Cohen's family. You get to know all these people. That just must be surreal, maybe a little bit, huh?
It was. At one point, Marianne said to me, you know, it's not just a relationship between you and me. By the way, I'm gay, so we did have an emotional relationship more than anything else. But you're like a member of the family. Her son Axel was 13 at the time, and very close to Leonard. Leonard helped to raise him. sent him to, schools, to Summerhill, and to a very Swiss boarding school called Lycée, and, bought him whatever he needed, whatever he wanted. So it was just the four of us. I would have dinner with him every night, spent a lot of time with Leonard, just total fortunate that we sang together. I was always a good singer. At one point, Leonard said to me, Judy, you sing as good as any backup singer I've ever worked with, and I can send you to Clive Davis if you like.
Oh.
And to this day, I don't know why I said, "Oh no, that's okay, Leonard. I think I can make it on my own."
Well,
I think partly it was because I have a really bad stage fright. So being in his room, and what that he had as a writing studio, singing with him and one guitar was very comfortable to me. But doing an audition in front of Clive Davis, I think I would have just, fainted on the spot.
Well, he is a renowned producer.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Leonard Cohen song?
One of my very favorites is not one of his big hits. It's a beautiful song, and it's called "The Window." And the chorus lyric goes, "Oh, frozen love, oh, chosen love, oh, tangle of matter and ghost, oh, darling of angels, demons, and saints, and the whole broken-hearted host, gentle this soul."
What beautiful lyrics.
It really is beautiful. It really is beautiful. And I knew the window.
You knew the window.
That window.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and there's another window that looks out onto the path, which is where Bird on a Wire came from. And Marianne and I were looking at it one time, and she said, the way that he got to Bird on the Wire, and she felt I really inspired him, was we were living on an island with no electricity. So they had oil lamps and candles, basically. And they put in a telephone pole right in front of his studio window and strung electric wires. And he watched that, and he said to her, "Okay, now we're going to have to move. We're going to have to go to another island." He didn't like modern conveniences. And as they were speaking, a bird came and landed on the wire. And Marianne said to him, "Leonard, if the bird can get used to the wire, you can get used to the wire." And then he wrote the song. So she said, that's always been my favorite, because I really felt like that was one I gave to him.
Oh, wow. That's really beautiful. You were so close with Leonard and Marianne at the time of their death in 2016. Did the three of you stay in touch, or how did the three of you stay in touch over the years?
We did stay in touch for quite a long time. I had several phone conversations with Leonard after he returned to Montreal. We exchanged some correspondence. I sent him some poetry that I had been writing, inspired by Hydra and by Marianne and him. And eventually it got down to emails, happy Hanukkah, happy birthday, things like that. He always answered. And I never kept our written correspondence. I did keep my written correspondence with Marianne. And I was very lucky, as I mentioned, that her estate gave me written permission to publish her letters to me.
Oh, wow. So they're in the book?
Yeah, from the author.
Oh, wow.
And they also returned, she kept everything. They returned all my letters to her, back to me. So the whole correspondence is in the book.
That's amazing. So with what did Leonard and Marianne teach you about yourself and about life?
I think what they really gave me was a sense, because I just felt like a nobody. I just felt like this little hippie girl who was traveling around with aspirations of writing and singing and stuff like that. And I was so embraced by them. I was like treated like an equal. And that really gave me a sense of self-confidence, I guess, and a more enhanced self-image, I guess, because they seemed to think I was pretty neat. So that changed how I felt about myself.
Wow, that's amazing.
They knew that I was gay, or at least at that time bisexual, and that had absolutely no, implication, no bearing at all on the way that we interacted with one another.
It's interesting how other countries are just more open-minded about this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And back in the day of the 70s when you first started going there, of
Yeah.
course. And it's such a beautiful cover. Just it makes me want to go there now. I might abandon Catalina Island for this because it just sounds amazing, especially since there's no cars. I've always loved the Greek culture. I've always loved Greek food. I mean, don't get me even started on Greek food. But I think I've got Greek stuff in the fridge right now. So some Greek cheese, I think it is. The name escapes me, but I've always loved Greek culture. I've always loved, who's that great actor who is the Greek actor who's just tremendous, larger than life guy. I forget his name, but he started with some movies in Greece, or a big movie in Greece, and it was just beautiful to watch the landscape, especially since back when it was done. I think it was black and white. Or
are you talking about Zorba?
Yeah, Zorba. Yeah.
Okay, well, that actor was Anthony Quinn, and he wasn't Greek.
He wasn't.
An Irish. Yeah.
Wow. But I just learned something new.
Did a tremendous job of interpreting Katsantzakis, who was a very famous Greek writer.
Wow.
Wrote Zorba the Greek, and Anthony Quinn did a marvelous job of portraying him.
Well, this is one of the reasons I have brilliant authors like you on the show, to teach me new things and educate me. All this time, I thought he was a Greek actor, but I always loved him. He was always larger than life, like Jackie Gleason or somebody. He's always big in life. So this is really wonderful. Anything more you want to tease out on the book, or offer readers who want to pick it up?
Well, one of the things that I've gotten a lot of response to has been the lyric from Hallelujah. And I think that's the one that's most well known internationally, and even the younger people. I know that America's Got Talent finally took that song off their playlist because so many of the contestants used it. They're like, okay, that's enough. We need new songs.
Wow.
It's just an incredible song to sing in that kind of venue where you're building and building and building to a big crescendo at the end. Mm. And there are actually 2 books out just on Hallelujah. One is called The Holy and the Broken, which is a lyric. I forget the other one, but just on that song, because it has had such an amazing impact worldwide. So it's been covered by over 200 artists.
Wow.
And, I was looking through some of the correspondence when they returned it to me. And one of my letters to Marianne, I said, my hair's getting really long here in LA, and I wish you were here to give me another haircut. And that made me remember when she did give me a haircut on Hydra, and what she told me about Leonard, which references a lyric, a kind of mysterious lyric in Hallelujah. She told me that he would never let her cut his hair and always went to the Greek barber. And I said, why? You're a good beautician. And she said, he told me that his mother used to cut his hair when he was a kid, and he didn't like the way she did it. And so when he got older, he would try and run away, and she would take one of his father's neckties and tie him to a chair in their kitchen.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the lyric goes, she tied me to a kitchen chair, she broke my throne, and she cut my hair, and from my lips she drew the hallelujah. And that's where I'm pretty sure that's where it came from. But nobody knew that except her and me, I guess.
That's amazing. And you have all these insights in the book as to some of the lyrics and life of him and all that sort of good stuff. I mean, that's just amazing. That's just amazing. So give us your plugs.com so people can look you up on the interwebs and where they can order the book.
Okay. So it's entitled Leonard, Marianne, and Me, subtitled Magical Summers on Hydra. I've spent quite a few. And it is available in pre-order right now on Amazon. It's also available on all of the worldwide Amazon websites, France, Germany, New Zealand, England, and Australia, only in English language. And of course here. It's available on barnesandnoble.com. It's available on target.com and on walmart.com. Mm-hmm. And it comes out July 1st.
There you go.
This week. Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah, order it up. Wow, it's July 1st already. Isn't that amazing? This year is woohoo. So let me ask you this one last question. If next time I go to Greece, is this the one place I should go first? I should skip everyone. Okay, there you go. There you go.
I mean, Yoko Ono and John Lennon were there. Mrs.
Wow.
Kennedy Onassis was there. It is a little bit of a jet set island, but again, it's just because of its beauty and because of its atmosphere. It attracts everybody.
Wow. I've got to definitely go check that out. So
Yeah.
sorry, Catalina Island, I may have to leave you for Hydra. Thank you, Judy, for spending time with us. We certainly appreciate it today. It's been wonderful to have you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, my audience, for tuning in. Go to youtube.com/Chris Voss. Hit that bell notification button. Go follow all of our groups on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. We've got so many on Facebook. There's stuff everywhere. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. Follow us over there. Refer the show to your friends, neighbors, relatives. If you haven't subscribed to it, go to thechrisvossshow.com. Thanks, my audience, for tuning in. Be good to each other, and we'll see you guys next time.